Hey Agatha, welcome to GAC RMHC Golf Classic. Just want to let your swing play through here a few times for you. We'll put you back in your dress position and we'll go ahead and take a look at a few things. So while we put you back here in your dress position, let's first of all just take a look at your setup. So your spine's straight on a slight tilt. It's a little too vertical. Your legs come down and unfortunately we're bending our knees too much, which actually causes us to sit back on our heels. And then from there you're holding your arms out in front of you off that vertical spine, and then the club works out to the ball. So if I were going to work on your golf game and we were going to obviously take a look at your posture and your balance, what we would do here is we would push your tail out and up, push your sternum out, up, and forward. And ultimately, all that's going to do is it's just going to put your spine on a better incline as such. From there, by getting your tail out, it's also going to cause your legs to straighten up a little bit. So now your legs will only be unlocked and not bent. From there, because your spine is more tilted, you can let your arms hang down a lot more naturally, and then you can let the golf club work out to the golf ball. So taking you from the spinal position that's very tall, whereby you're bending your knees and you're sitting back on your heels, and then you're pronating your hands and arms out in front of you and not creating any angle relationship in here, is definitely a must, because the entire golf swing functions about this starting posture. Okay, so we need to definitely reset these angles at address, as well as your balance. We can also go ahead and just take a look at your alignment from this vantage point. We can see your feet running in this direction. Carry that out towards the fairway. Now, theoretically, your club face is supposed to run parallel to your feet at address. Parallel lines on camera have an appearance to converge, and under that philosophy, we can see that you're set up right at the corner body part of the water there. So we're in a little bit of a closed stance with your lower body. Now, even though your lower body is going to the right, you actually subconsciously know this, and you can see your upper body. If I draw an alignment tool on your forearms, they're actually running to the left. So we've got your upper body stacked open, aiming left of where your feet are going. So one of the things we want to do alongside redefining your posture and your balance is we want to get your feet, knees, hips, forearms, and your shoulders also all running in the same position, and definitely stacking your upper body appropriately over your lower body. Okay, from here we can go ahead and do a little split screen comparison and just sort of get a sense of, what is the golf swing supposed to do. Got Chella Choi up on the left side of the screen there, and we've got some color-coded lines just to give you a visual reference as to what swing plane is supposed to look like. Now, before we go ahead and take a look at the dynamic motion, let's just pay attention to some of the stuff we just talked about. So you can see Chella Choi, her spine is definitely tilted over correctly. We can see that her legs aren't bent. She's not sitting. Her arms hang down, club works out. There's more angle relationship. So again, like I said, just push your tail out and up, push your sternum in your head out and forward. That'll tilt your spine over. By getting your tail out and up, that'll straighten your legs a little. And what you want to feel ultimately at address is you want to feel more athletic ready. You want to feel like you're a lot more on the balls of your feet. In your case, it's going to feel like you're on your toes, because you're really changing your entire weight distribution. Okay? So again, very important to establish a starting position to build a golf swing. Now, when it comes to the golf swing itself, what are we looking for? Well, we want to bring the golf club back by turning the shoulders, bringing the arms and hands back, as well as the club. And when the club comes back, it should travel back along the red line, exactly what we see here with Chella Choi. That simply means the club is coming back on a proper plane and swinging back on a nice, natural, subtle arc. As we continue to move back here, we need to incorporate some good wrist hinge into play, whereby the club head right now is situated below and in front of her hands, and as we create this wrist hinge, that's going to allow the club head to move above and behind her hands. Very important move right here, creating the wrist hinge and keeping the club on this angle. From here, we're now going to work the golf club from red up towards yellow. When we finally set the club at the top of the backswing, we want to have the left arm of the club pretty much situated on the yellow line or somewhere within that blue-yellow V zone. We want to create full shoulder rotation We want to do this about a very stable right leg, and very importantly, we want to make sure that we've maintained the spinal position that we achieved at address. So again, there she was at address, spinal position is the exact same, and she rotates, maintaining that spinal tilt. So let's watch you initiate your takeaway here. Your hands draw back, shoulders are turning, so that's all fine and dandy. We can see that your wrists remain very stiff and rigid with the golf club. So there isn't any wrist hinge occurring through this stage of your golf swing. So one of the things you'd definitely like to learn to do in your swing motion is learn how to understand what proper wrist hinge is. As we continue to move back here, the club's fallen in behind your hand, so that's good. There's still no wrist hinge at this point. Now, unfortunately, your wrists are actually working incorrectly. What you're doing is you're taking your left hand, you're turning your knuckles down and underneath. So we're not really creating a hinge in the upper part of our wrist. We're turning the club under with the hand. It's also going to shut the club face. We continue to move that golf club back. We stand up out of the shot a little. We can see your left wrist really starting to bow. So your arms are going to swing too far. They're going to compress because your subconscious brain is telling you, hey, I still got to get the club back further. And unfortunately, you're not creating club travel through creating wrist hinge. So something about wrist hinge you need to understand, two very important things. Wrist hinge creates club travel during the backswing so that we don't have to move our arms back too far. So we can see here again with Chela Choi, like a lot of this club travel isn't just because our arms are coming back, but it's because of this wrist hinge. So that wrist hinge creates a lot of club travel for us. So because that wrist hinge, that'll allow the club to get back to the top over here, and then we can stop our arms. We don't have to overswing our arms because we created club travel via wrist hinge. Unfortunately, you're having to create club travel by letting your arms continue to swing, and what we're going to see is they're going to break down. So because we don't have any wrist hinge, watch the arms, they're going to keep on going, and unfortunately we're going to get way out of position up top here. So, and what do I mean by that? Well, your left arm's well above the blue line, whereas Chela's left arm's down on yellow. So we definitely need to shallow out your arms. We got to prevent the compression of the arms. So there's a big breakdown in the arms. I mean, we can clearly see that. And then obviously the club swings way too far. We're creating a rotational movement upon an axis that's too tall. So again, you have to because that's where you started. From here, as we create our transition back into the ball, simply want to move our weight from our right foot to our left, fire the knees and the hips to the target, unwind the core, and fire the hands. And in doing so, we want to bring the golf club from yellow back down on top of red. And that's exactly what we see here with Chela Choi. The golf club has returned back to being on plane. The other thing we want to observe at this stage of the golf swing is the relationship between the lead form and the golf club. I refer to this as the backwards check mark. It simply means the club head right now is remaining above and behind our hands coming into the hitting zone. And this is ultimately what allows us to create a lot of power in our golf shot, let alone also our ability to hit the ball straight due to the fact that, as I've already mentioned, the club is returned back to plane, which is a main criteria in order to produce straight shots in accordance to our alignment. So let's see what you do from the top here. You've got a lot of recapturing of your arms and your golf club to do as we bring this club back into the ball. So let's see what happens. So nice, strong, athletic move. You're dropping your hands really nicely and you're starting to recover. Unfortunately, your hands come a little over the top there, meaning down blue and out in front. You're fighting to keep the club head behind your hands. Let's see where the club head goes in the next frame. Let's see if it drops behind your hands some more and goes towards the blue-yellow V zone. It does. So that's wonderful. So what we can observe here is that your athletic ability is understanding where the club head needs to be to have power. So let's go to the next frame. So this is awesome. So what we can look at here is we can look at your lead form, we can look at your club, and basically say, hey, we've got our backwards check mark. So creating power in your golf swing won't be that much of an issue because you're retaining angle, club head's above and behind. And the other great thing is the club is starting to return what we think is back to your plane. Now, I'm going to put you back in address here. And what I need you to understand is that I had already told you that you were pronating your hands and arms and holding your hands and arms too far out and up. So you're almost virtually creating a straight line with your arms and your club from this vantage point. I had told you that I wanted, once we get you in better posture, get your spine tilted better, get your arms hanging, sorry, let me get rid of that, get your arms hanging a little bit better, and then get the club to work out to the ball, we would increase the angle relationship between your arms and the club. Well, that's going to allow you to learn how to create better hinge to begin with, but that's the association we need with the arms and the golf club. So the reality is, what I want you to understand with this is that your actual address plane, the actual red line over the shaft of the golf club, because the shaft should be sitting on the yellow line, your original address plane should be here at 43 degrees. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I am going to get rid of all that, and I am going to put another address plane line up on the screen at 43 degrees. So now we can take a look at your downswing, because we can't base your downswing off of, let's refer to it as line 1, and your second one that I drew up is line 2. So we can't look at your downswing based off of line 1, because it's not the right line. You're only creating that because you're putting yourself out of position at address. So here we are back at pre-impact. I do love the fact that the club head is above and behind your hands. I do love the fact that the club is returning back to red line 1. But ultimately, it actually has to return back to red line 2. And so let's go to the next frame and see where this goes to. So right there, beautiful. So now we've dropped the club back onto line 2, based on the fact that that's where you should be in your address position. So the nice thing is the golf club is coming into the golf ball and returning back to a pretty decent plane. So this is superb. Let's go to the next frame. It's here. So again, just connect the dots. So this golf club is actually coming into the golf ball from a pretty solid swing plane. Considering where you were at the top, that's a pretty awesome correction coming into the golf ball. So really what we understand right now is we were aimed where? Well, we were aimed too far out to the right. I stipulated that we can hit straight golf shots based on our alignment if the club returns to plane. So we can see with Chella Choi, she comes into the ball directly from the red line, or actually just a hair underneath. So she's going to hit the ball relatively straight based on her alignment, as long as the club face squares up. So really the last thing for you right now is you have an ability to hit the ball fairly straight based on your alignment. The only problem is your alignment's at the yellow flag, and the yellow flag is in the water. So the actual target is way over here somewhere. So the only way for you to get that ball back to blue now is you're going to have to flip the hands, impart a ton of right to left spin on the golf ball. So let's see what your club face does coming into the hitting zone here. So club face shuts down pretty good. That's nice. Okay, so we don't lose the ball too far right, just as of yet. But if that club face didn't fully square up, it didn't fully square up. So we see that ball is starting. It has left to right spin. So unfortunately, that ball is going to get out here. It's sort of being hit towards the exact direction where you're aimed. And unfortunately, the ball has left to right spin. So that ball is going to continue to tail off over here. And really, the end result of your golf shot is really going to come down to what does your club face do. If it under releases, it is going to follow blue. If it squares up fine, then it will continue to go right at where you're aimed. If it over releases, then we have an ability to hopefully draw the ball back towards where we actually want the ball to go. But again, you can see this does require a lot of timing on your part, because the three things we need in order to be consistent are we have to aim well, we have to have a good downswing plane, and then we have to square the face up. We can see your alignment was too far right. Your downswing's pretty solid, so now you have an ability to hit the ball straight based on that alignment. Unfortunately, the alignment is incorrect. And at that point in time, now we have to flip the hands in order to compensate and hopefully draw that ball down yellow and back towards our flag. So you can see there's a lot of variances there that are dictating, what's going to happen to your golf shot. As you move through, you move yourself through to a really nice finishing position. You got great footwork here. You're carrying yourself through to a nice finish. It looks great. Got a little excess motion here happening that doesn't really need to happen. Like when you're done, stand up nice and tall on your left leg. You don't need to bend on that left leg. Keep your hands high. Your hands, I like where your hands and arms were a little bit earlier. So right, you just keep your hands and arms right there. That's fine. You don't have to let your arms crunch down into you, okay? So a little excess motion happening at the very end here where we get into a really, really crunched and low position. Let's just stand up nice and tall, have the hands high, have the left leg straight. and aesthetically it would be a much better looking finish. But I mean, overall, you've got some really nice athletic qualities with respect to your swing. I mean, your hands work great. They come back and they fire through. Your body works well. Obviously you coil back with your shoulders and you uncoil through. Like I said, you got great footwork that allows you to get through to a good finish. But I mean, this golf swing could look a lot better, and you could be a lot more consistent. There's a lot of potential here, but obviously your starting posture balance has to change. You definitely need to learn how to use your hands and your wrist correctly during your backswing. Got to learn how to set your hands, arms, and golf club correctly at the top without that major breakdown that we're seeing. And then from here, your downswing plane's awesome, and you do a great job swinging through. But obviously, we should be able to see that distorted position up top there with respect to the set position of the golf club. Okay, but a lot of good things going on. If you're refine some of the things that we could eliminate, there's just really not too many limitations as to how good you could get. Okay. Anyways, if at any point in time you ever want to work on any of these aspects of your golf game, I'm located over at Glen Abbey in Oakville. Be happy to structure a program for you. Also, if you're involved with any golf tournaments at all and you guys are looking for a unique gift to give to your guests, feel free to reach out and I'd be happy to discuss my swing analysis services with you. Anyways, I hope you had a fantastic day, and I hope you enjoyed getting an opportunity to see your swing on video. Take care.